is the Fox 5 News Block.
The city on edge and on alert after 3 people were murdered in broad daylight. The suspect in the killing set to be arraigned today. As the sentencing looms in President-elect Donald Trump's hush money case, New York prosecutors filing a new letter with the judge today saying they oppose dismissing the case but could be open to delaying sentencing until after his second term. Good afternoon. I'm Morgan Mackay. Welcome to the News Block. More on those stories in just a moment. But first, here's a live look outside right now. Audrey Puente is here with more on the forecast. The sun is shining, but just a little bit cold out there, Audrey.
It is feeling cooler than it was across the tri-state area at this time yesterday, Morgan. And we still have a fire danger risk. And the National Weather Service has us with a a fire statement stating that the humidity is down just a little bit here. Our winds not quite as blustery, but just enough that should any fires erupt, we've already seen across parts of New Jersey, they could spread rather quickly. So obey all fire bans and also exercise caution if you'll be dealing with any flammable situation. Now, increasing clouds are expected across our skies later this afternoon and into the evening, and there's also the possibility of a spotty shower later tonight. We'll have an increasing chance of more measurable precipitation starting Wednesday night into Thursday, and colder temperatures are on the way. So for those of you that have been waiting for that fall weather, it'll be arriving by the end of the week. Right now, temperatures are above average for this time of year. They're mostly in the upper 50s. We have 59 currently in Central Park. It's 59 also in Islip with 55 in White Plains. 57 up in Poughkeepsie. We're now at 61 in Newark and 60 degrees in Belmar. Keep in mind our normal highs should be in the low to mid 50s. These numbers are running cooler than they were at this time yesterday. And our winds, they're light. They're anywhere between 10 to 15 miles per hour as we go through the rest of the afternoon. We're dry on the radar, although we're watching for some clouds to sort of creep in here from the west, and they're coming in ahead of rain that's headed in our direction. I'll talk more about that and let you know when to expect it coming up.
Thank you, Audrey. Now, the suspect in yesterday's triple murder stabbing rampage is scheduled to be arraigned today as questions swirl around the 51-year-old's criminal history. Last night, Ramon Rivera was booked for allegedly stabbing and killing 3 New Yorkers Monday morning in broad daylight. Surveillance images show Rivera putting 2 large kitchen knives police say he used in the attacks into his pants. Officials say Rivera has a history of serious mental illness. Mayor Eric Adams emphasizing today that the city needs to do more to connect those with mental illness to the people who can care for them.
Everybody said I was inhumane, that we just want to institutionalize people. Well, this is the result of that. You know, this is the result of not taking actions and ignoring people who need help. Just this morning, I got a call this morning where a person with an ice pick trying to stab people in Manhattan. We have a real problem that we have to be honest about, and I'm willing to be honest about it.
Now, police say Rivera did not say anything to his victims, nor did he steal anything. New York prosecutors say they will oppose any efforts to dismiss President-elect Donald Trump's hush money conviction, but left the door open for the judge to move the sentencing date to after Trump serves his second term. In a court filing today, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office argued that Trump's forthcoming presidency isn't grounds for dropping the case that was already tried. Trump was convicted in May of falsifying business records to cover up a scheme to influence a 2016 presidential election by paying hush money to adult film star Stormy Daniels. Trump denies the allegations. Judge Juan Merchan has given prosecutors until today to file a letter with the judge on how to proceed with the case now that Trump won the election. That sentencing was set for November 26. The judge hasn't said yet what he will do. And for the latest on the hush money case and other news, you can stay up to date on the Fox Local app on your phone. You'll be able to watch all of our live newscasts and breaking news from anywhere you are. Just scan the QR code to download the free Fox Local app to your phone now. And the House Ethics Committee is set to meet tomorrow after postponing the Matt Gaetz investigation, meeting last week. The bipartisan committee had been investigating the former Republican congressman since 2021. He's been accused of sexual misconduct involving a 17-year-old girl, illicit drug use, and accepting improper gifts. Gaetz has denied all allegations, and he has faced no charges. He resigned from Congress last week after President-elect Donald Trump picked him for Attorney General. Senators in both parties who will consider Gaetz' nomination have said that they want details of that report. And House Democrats re-elected Hakeem Jeffries as their party's leader today. It happened during an internal party vote of House Democrats at the Capitol. Jeffries will be the House minority leader since Republicans will hold the majority in the House. And while he'll be the party's nominee for the House Speaker role, it's expected to go to Speaker Mike Johnson since Republicans will be holding that majority. Now, concerns across the country over a new E. coli outbreak linked to bags of organic carrots. All comes after McDonald's was connected to another E. coli outbreak last month. As Jared Halpern shows, the fast food chain is now making a new move to help bring customers back to its restaurants.
Another E. coli outbreak is sweeping the country, and this time it's linked to organic carrots. California-based Grimway Farms recalling multiple sizes and brands of its whole and baby carrots because of possible contamination. The CDC reports more than 36 people in at least 18 states have become sick. At least one death has been linked to the recall. The agency says the products are no longer in stores but could be in consumer refrigerators or freezers.
It's a good idea to clean that area of your refrigerator really well. 50 bacterium are enough to make you sick, and 100,000 of them would fit on the head of a pin. So it's not stuff you can see, taste, or smell.
Grimway Farms says its food and safety teams are working with suppliers to respond to the outbreak, but public health officials warn the number of states affected could be much higher.
If you have cases where this happens, then the lawsuits become a lot more potentially valuable, and the settlements become larger.
It comes after an E. coli outbreak linked to onions on McDonald's Quarter Pounders left more than 100 people sick. The fast food chain now plans to shell out $100 million to help the hardest hit franchises and drive customers back to its restaurants.
They got to spend the money on quality. They got to spend some money on advertisement and commercials and informing consumers.
The CDC says children younger than 5, the elderly, and people with weakened immune systems are at increased risk for infection from E. coli. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Now to some developing news at this hour. Moscow says Ukraine fired 6 American-supplied longer-range missiles into Russia today. The deployments mark Ukraine's first use of the weapons inside Russia. It has been 1,000 days since the war started. Local media reports that the Russian Defense Ministry claims to have shot down 5 of the missiles and damaged 1 more. Ukraine claims it hit a military weapons depot, but did not clarify the type of weapons used. The news sparks new concerns about the war intensifying as Russian President Vladimir Putin formally lowered the threshold for using nuclear weapons. A U.S. official is expressing some optimism about ending the war between Israel and Hezbollah. Amos Hochstein, the White House's envoy to Lebanon, says a ceasefire is, quote, within our grasp. The U.S. has proposed a peace plan that would include removing Israeli forces from Lebanon and pushing Hezbollah forces away from Israel's border. UN peacekeepers would also be needed to establish a safe buffer zone. The war has been going on for more than 13 months. And the New York Jets have fired general manager Joe Douglas. The move comes after Gang Green fell to 3-8 following their loss to the Colts this past Sunday. Douglas finished with a 30-64 record after being hired as GM in 2019. Earlier this season, the Jets fired head coach Robert Saleh. Now to a Fox 5 exclusive, an inside look at where forecasters spend day and night, keeping an eye on weather conditions outside. Jody Goldberg takes us into a place most people rarely get to see, the National Weather Service office on Long Island.
If this building didn't say National Weather Service, it could be mistaken for any other office. But inside, there's a team of meteorologists monitoring weather models 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year.
We're continuously observing the weather. We're forecasting the weather.
It's the federal government's home base for all things weather in the tri-state, including tracking our dangerously dry conditions.
The highest priority things we do is issue warnings, alerting the public and also our public safety officials of hazardous weather that may approach so that we can better prepare for it.
Nelson Vaz is the warning coordination meteorologist here at the National Weather Service. He helps sift through data to ensure the most accurate forecast.
We're basically 6 to 9 inches below normal as we've gone into this fall season for rainfall.
Gusty winds, dry vegetation, and low humidity pose the greatest risk for fast-spreading brush fires.
What goes into predicting a red flag warning?
Typically, the breezier conditions, the higher the threat for red flag warning conditions. And also we're looking at little to no rain over the past few days, which is what we've been seeing for the past few months.
Forest rangers with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation have been assisting with the deadly Jennings Creek wildfire upstate, and they're on standby locally if needed.
I've been on the job since 2002. I can't remember a fall fire season this extreme.
So behind me is one of hundreds of weather models that meteorologists analyze every day, and it indicates that a storm can likely be coming later on this week. What does it mean for this area? It would be the first soaking rain we've seen in nearly 2 months. Now, Nelson, how will this help us?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not going to break the drought conditions, but what it will do is help with our fire weather conditions, at least for a few days, and calm that down.
Whether it's rain, snow, or the severe drought we're dealing with, the forecasting of it starts right here in Upton on Long Island. Jody Goldberg, Fox 5 News.
Now let's take a live look outside. Audrey, the sun is really doing its part. It doesn't really feel like November out there.
It sure doesn't, Morgan. And Jody was right. We are expecting a storm system that will bring a good soaking rain across the tri-state area. So we have that sunshine out there right now. However, there is a system we're watching that's off towards our west. There's a cold front and a warm front in our vicinity here. It is producing some rain across the Ohio Valley and further down into the southeastern states here, where this rain is actually enhanced from the leftovers of Tropical Storm Sarah, which brought about 40 inches of rainfall across Honduras earlier, or actually last week. A look at the futurecast shows that we'll have increasing clouds as we go through the rest of the afternoon, and then later this evening there is a chance of a couple of passing showers after about 8 or 9 o'clock. They'll quickly exit the region, and tomorrow we'll be left with the cloud cover as we start off our Wednesday, and I think most of the day will be dry. It's not until the evening where we start to see rain approach us from the west here, and it's a good healthy amount of rainfall, which is exactly what we need across the region. We're running about 5 inches below normal for the year and 9 inches for the season as far as rainfall is concerned. You can see that soaking rainfall will last overnight into very early on Thursday. Here we are at 6 a.m. So early morning commuters could actually have a wet morning commute, which will be a difference from what we've seen lately. And then on the backside of the system, some colder air will be rushing in, which means we could see a change over to snow north and west of the city. So tonight we're dropping down into the 40s. It looks like we'll be in the 50s for tomorrow before the rain comes in late tomorrow night. Morgan?
Thank you, Audrey. We need that rain. So that's your news block for now. I'm Morgan Mackay. Thanks for joining us. Tune in to the 5 o'clock news on Fox 5.